Sarah Mitchell couldn't shake the exhaustion that clung to her like a second skin. For 3 weeks, her 6-year-old daughter Emma had been waking up screaming. Night terrors, the pediatrician said, but something felt wrong. The attacks were too consistent, too predictable, always occurring between 2 and 3 a.m. Her husband, David, suggested they install a baby monitor in Emma's room. Just to see what's happening, he said, his voice tinged with the same helplessness Sarah felt. What they discovered on that first night of recording would change everything they thought they knew about their family. The timestamp read 2:14 a.m. when the bedroom door creaked open. In the grainy infrared footage, a large silhouette padded into the room with deliberate, careful steps. It was Max, their 3-year-old German shepherd, moving with unusual purpose through the darkness. Sarah's finger hovered over the pause button, her heart beginning to race. They'd never allowed Max upstairs at night. The doors were always closed, so how? But what Max did next made Sarah's blood run cold. Max moved directly to Emma's bedside, his massive head tilting as if listening to something Sarah couldn't hear through the silent footage. The dog's ears were alert, swiveling like satellite dishes, his entire body tense and focused. Then Emma stirred. Even in the poor quality video, Sarah could see her daughter's small body beginning to convulse, her face contorting in the beginning stages of what they'd come to dread, another night terror. But Max was already there. The German shepherd placed his front paws on the bed and began. What was he doing? Sarah leaned closer to the screen, her breath fogging the laptop display. Max was nudging Emma's hand with his nose, persistent but gentle, over and over again. Within seconds, Emma's hand reached out and buried itself in Max's thick fur. Her breathing, which had been growing rapid and panicked, began to slow. The convulsions stopped. Emma rolled onto her side, still asleep, her fingers tangled in Max's coat. Max didn't move. He stayed there, frozen like a living statue, for 47 minutes. Sarah scrolled through the next night's footage. Same time, same routine. Max entering impossibly through a closed door, positioning himself beside Emma before the terror could fully take hold. 7 nights in a row, the same ritual. David was the first to ask the question that terrified them both. How is he getting in? They checked every lock, every window, every possible entry point, all secured. That night, David placed a chair against Emma's door as a test. At 2:16 a.m., the camera caught the chair moving slightly, just enough for Max's muscular body to squeeze through a gap that shouldn't have been possible to create. He's opening the door somehow, David whispered, watching the replay. But dogs can't. They don't have the dexterity to turn a doorknob. Sarah remembered Max's history. They'd adopted him from a shelter 2 years ago, just after Emma turned 4. The shelter knew almost nothing about his past, only that he'd been found wandering near a hospital, wearing a vest that identified him as a service dog. No microchip. No owner ever came forward. A service dog. The pieces were beginning to form a picture Sarah didn't want to see. She scheduled an appointment with Emma's pediatrician, bringing the video footage on her phone. Dr. Richardson watched in silence, her expression growing more serious with each replay. "Mrs. Mitchell," she said carefully, setting down the phone, "has Emma ever been tested for epilepsy?" The word hit Sarah like a physical blow. "No, these are just night terrors, right, you said." "I said they might be night terrors, but what I'm seeing in this video, combined with Max's behavior." Dr. Richardson pulled up Emma's medical history on her computer. "I'd like to schedule an EEG immediately, because if I'm right about what's happening here, Max isn't just comforting your daughter. He's saving her life." The EEG results came back 3 days later. Nocturnal frontal lobe epilepsy, a rare condition where seizures masquerade as night terrors, often going undiagnosed for years. Left untreated, the seizures could cause permanent brain damage or worse. "The most dangerous part," Dr. Richardson explained, her voice steady but urgent, "is that during these episodes, children can stop breathing or their heart rate can become dangerously irregular. They need immediate physical stimulation to disrupt the seizure pattern." Sarah felt the room spinning. For 3 weeks Max has been detecting the seizures before they fully manifest. Yes, Dr. Richardson pulled up an image on her screen, a chart showing brain wave patterns. Dogs, especially trained service dogs, can detect the chemical and electrical changes that occur before a seizure. The scent changes in sweat, the shift in electromagnetic fields. They sense it minutes before it happens. David's voice was barely a whisper. He's been waking her up, making her touch him, keeping her conscious and grounded before the seizure could take full effect. The doctor nodded, and that physical contact, that tactile stimulation, has likely been preventing the seizures from progressing to dangerous levels. Your dog has been performing deep pressure therapy, a technique used by trained seizure alert dogs. Sarah thought back to all those nights, Max mysteriously appearing, somehow knowing, always knowing, exactly when Emma needed him. The impossible door opening wasn't a mystery anymore, it was determination. It was love manifesting as an unbreakable will. But one question remained: how did an abandoned dog with no traceable history possess such specialized training? Sarah became obsessed with finding Max's origins. She posted in service dog forums, searched missing pet databases, contacted every training facility within a 200-mile radius. 6 days after Emma's diagnosis, she received a message from a woman named Patricia Holloway. "I think Max might have been my daughter's dog," the message read. "His name was Maxwell. I've been looking for him for 3 years." They met at a coffee shop and Patricia brought a photo album. The resemblance was undeniable, same distinctive markings, same intelligent amber eyes. Patricia's hands trembled as she turned the pages, stopping on a picture of a young girl, maybe 12 years old, in a hospital bed, with Maxwell lying beside her, wearing his service vest. "This is my daughter, Lily," Patricia said, her voice breaking. "She had severe epilepsy. Maxwell was trained specifically for her. He could detect her seizures up to 15 minutes before they occurred. He saved her life more times than I can count." Sarah felt tears burning her eyes. What happened? Lily passed away 3 years ago. A car accident not related to her epilepsy. Maxwell was in the car with her. Patricia wiped her eyes. "He survived, but he ran. I think he was trying to get help, trying to find someone who could save her. By the time we found the accident site, he was gone. We searched for months." The woman looked up and Sarah saw a mixture of grief and something else in her eyes, something that looked like peace. "He found a new purpose," Patricia continued. "That's what these dogs do. They don't stop needing to help, to protect. When he couldn't save Lily anymore, he found Emma. And this time," her voice caught, "this time he succeeded." Sarah sat in Emma's room that night, watching her daughter sleep peacefully. Emma was on medication now, her seizures under control, but Max still maintained his vigil. Every night, without fail, he pushed through the door at exactly 2:15 a.m. and took his position beside her bed. But now they understood. They left the door slightly ajar for him. They honored his mission. David joined her and they watched the monitor together in real time. Max entered as always, but tonight was different. Emma was awake. "Hi, Max," she said softly, her small hand reaching for his fur. "Did you have the dream again?" Sarah and David exchanged confused glances. Emma continued, her voice sleepy but clear. "The dream about your other girl, the one you couldn't help." Max pressed his head against Emma's chest, and she wrapped her arms around his thick neck. "It's okay," Emma whispered. "You help me now, you're the best helper ever." Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. Somehow, in the mysterious way that children and animals communicate, Emma had understood. She'd always understood. Patricia's words echoed in Sarah's mind. This time he succeeded. 6 months later, Sarah stood before a crowd at the National Service Dog Association's annual gala. Max sat beside her on the stage, calm and dignified, wearing a medal around his neck, the Hero Dog Award for Civilian Service. "We didn't train Max," Sarah said into the microphone, her hand resting on his head. "Life trained him, loss trained him, love trained him. He taught himself that when someone needs help, you don't wait for permission. You don't need a vest or a certificate or someone to tell you that you have a purpose." She looked down at Max, whose amber eyes gazed steadily back at her. "You just show up every single night. You push through whatever door stands between you and the person who needs you, and you stay for as long as they need you to stay." Emma ran up on stage and hugged Max, and the audience rose in a standing ovation. But Max didn't acknowledge the applause. His eyes were on Emma, always on Emma, calculating distances, monitoring her breathing, alert for any change in her scent or behavior that might signal danger. Because that's what guardians do. They don't seek recognition. They seek only the safety of those they've sworn to protect. That night, as Sarah tucked Emma into bed, her daughter asked a question that took her breath away. "Mommy, do you think Lily sent Max to me, like an angel but with fur?" Sarah kissed her daughter's forehead, unable to speak past the lump in her throat, because maybe Emma was right. Maybe in the mysterious architecture of the universe, love doesn't end, it transforms. It finds new channels, new purposes, new children to save. At 2:15 a.m., Max pushed through the door and took his place beside Emma's bed. He would be there every night for the rest of his life. Some dogs chase balls, some dogs guard houses. But a rare few, the ones who have known loss and refuse to be broken by it, they guard something infinitely more precious. They guard hope, they guard futures, they guard the beating hearts of children who need them to keep beating. And that is the most powerful force in the universe. Love that survives even death, reborn in the fierce loyalty of a German shepherd who learned that his purpose wasn't over when he lost everything, it was only beginning. Because sometimes the hero doesn't wear a cape, sometimes they wear a collar, and sometimes, just sometimes, they save the world one quiet night at a time.